Hello, I'm Mark Newton from the School of Photography, and I've got the pleasure of working with the Amateur Photographer magazine on their Amateur Photographer of the Year 2025 awards. Round 8 is movement. The first tip I'm going to give you here is light trails. So let's start off with some essential equipment that you're going to need to create light trail photography. One is a tripod. You're going to need to use a remote shutter release because that will enable you to fire off the camera without touching it. And here are some ideas for locations to do light trail photography. Urban environments, bridges and overpasses, winding roads through the countryside. If you can find them, they also work well. Let's talk about camera settings for this type of photography. Now, your shutter speed is going to be dictated by the time it takes the vehicle to move through your scene. So if you've got a vehicle that takes 4 seconds to go from the start of your composition to the end of your composition, then you will base your shutter speed around 4 seconds. My next tip is panning. Now, panning is a technique where you move your camera at the same speed as the moving object. And what that does is that keeps the moving object still within your frame and the background blurs. And basically that means that things look fast and dynamic. Now, it's not an easy technique to get right first time. It takes practice, so just remember that. And if you've got a flash gun, have some fun with it by adding a burst of flash whilst you're panning. That is a technique called slow sync flash. My next tip is shutter speeds versus movement. Now, what I mean by that is, let's take the panning technique that I was talking about earlier. If you've got a slow moving subject, then you will use a slower shutter speed, maybe 1/4 of a second or 1/8 of a second. If you've got a fast moving subject like a car or bike, etc., you're going to need to up your shutter speed to 1/60th, 125th of a second to get a similar effect. And the fact is, you don't actually know that until you're in situ and practicing with different shutter speeds. Now, if you want to learn photography or editing, please come over and see us at theschoolofphotography.com and check out our online courses. Good luck, I'm Mark Newton, and remember, if you want to learn photography properly, come over and see us at theschoolofphotography.com.